Right, so where were we? Yeah, this whole thing here, slow to create a new assessment. So I was thinking, well, I did a little test last time. Is there a problem that was solved with this Bubble's latest release? They had a release where they were talking about how they improved the database and all that. It didn't help me much. I I did a bit of a test here, and I did a bit of a test. It takes about 60 seconds, 55 seconds for it to for these assessments to be created. So I'm looking for alternatives. That's where I'm busy with now, and I guess I had a thought here is I could have pre-create a bunch of these assessments, and that might be one way to do it. But I'm afraid that might not be a good way because I want the questions to be a bit more dynamic. If they if I create a bunch, one day, whenever the question changes, will they be taken in and so on. So that's really, let's say, low priority for me here. I think I want to see if I can try some other ways. And I think there's something to do with the way I have set up my database. So that's why I'm on this big screen here, because I was looking at my database setup here. So, and I was just about to dive in here. So I have these three elements that play with each other, right? The assessment, the answer, and the question. I mean, there are more elements, but these are the key ones. And right now, the way I have it set up, I have a bunch of trials here. So this is the current one. So actually creates the assessment on the front end whenever the user clicks it, and then it sends a bunch of stuff to the back end. So it creates the assessment that was created in the front end, and then the list of questions. Well, this is probably part of the problem here, but so with that list of questions, it's a recursive workflow. So it does a bunch of this stuff, and it calls itself again. So it just keeps on calling itself again. And what it does is it's going through this list of questions, doing what it needs to do, and then calling itself again without the question that it just, it did something with that question. It calls itself, but removes the question that it just worked with. So that was the idea I had here, because I want some consistency, and I've had experience in the past with Bubble that it wasn't doing very well whenever I had a lot of items. But I don't expect this assessment to be more than 100 questions. So I'm hoping that the Bubble workflow will be able to handle this. So I am looking now to try like a blast type of setup. But I had some other things here that, I mean, I don't think they're any better than this one here. So I want to try something radically different, and that's why I wanted to see if I can do more light references instead of kind of the heavy. Well, I'm wondering if the type of references, if I just put a text or if I actually reference another object, does that really make a big difference here for Bubble? So what I am going to, so I was just thinking through here is this, right? Which one of these fields do I not need anymore? And I was looking here, let me zoom away here. So this stuff here is kind of my log for the moment that I'm using, just to get an idea of, so I can keep the timings, right? So this one doesn't count. Then if I look at this, what I wanted to do is to let's see here. So if I create an assessment, so it creates that like this, assessment create, and then what it should do is create just a bunch of answers, because that's the so create let's say all the answers that are connected, and then it connects them to this. But creating it, connected to that just via what did I say? Via this here, via the assessment, an assessment reference, right? So that's the, I guess the foreign key, as they call it. Like this should be the way that they are connected, right? You will know that it's part of that, because it has this assessment. And then the I was thinking either to I would have to create the questions, because the answer is just an empty shell that refers to some of the questions here, and so you would have to refer to it via the answer unique. Let me put here unique ID, might be easier. But then it's just a bunch of searches, so I don't know. I think maybe I'll just use the answer object. Yeah. What is the right way to write this? Let me just call it like this. And this would be the assessment object. So it's not going to be a... So this is how they're going to relate. But I think maybe there is another way to try this instead of all these relationships, is to have each answer have a question thing inside of it. So it would be the question, you know, because the question here, what do I have? I have the base camp, the guidance, the actual question, and the number. Yeah, so then I would just write, you know, kind of take the information from here and just write it on this one here. So I would have the ID, then the question itself, the question text, then the base camp guidance text, then the base camp, so that I can filter by that, and then the what else I put is the group, which is the other filtering option. So this will all be text. And this one I used for filtering, and text filtering, and then this one text, something like that. So this way I want to see if this can be the most light way to do it, and I can just create this in a blast. So like create all instead of the whole recursive mess that I was doing, just, you know, do that. So I'm gonna start with this one, because this should be the simplest one, and see what that leads me to. Let me break down this video here. So I will call this video here just the thinking.